Welcome to the podcast Behind the Counter with your host, me, Heidi Blum, also known as the Food Czar. I was born and bred in Livingston, New Jersey, and I have seen firsthand over the past few years how food and the people behind the counter can bring a community together. We all have a story. We all have an appetite. Each episode will explore the thread between food, people, and community, and the stories that weave them all together. So let's get behind the counter and dig in. Here we go.
This is Behind the Counter.
Behind the Counter.
With the Food Czar. Here's Heidi.
Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Counter with the Food Czar, which is me, Heidi Blum. And today's episode, I'm excited, and this has been a long time coming. I'm sitting with Dom Calise of Bucky's Pizza. Hey, Dom.
How's it going?
It's going good. And the reason I'm excited about this, Dom, is because there's always like a few restaurants that somehow take over your Instagram feed that becomes like, you're like, what is this place? What is this place? I've been lucky enough to follow Bucky's, I don't know from the beginning, but enough that it makes you want to be part of whatever you have going on. So welcome.
Thank you.
And Dom just opened up a Bucky's brick-and-mortar store, pizza shop in Chatham, New Jersey. So we're happy to have you right next to Livingston. So this is perfect for us. And Bucky's Pizza, which we'll get into, is very different than, in my opinion, than your standard pizza. Do you agree?
I think so. I feel like a lot of places just kind of do things quickly and to be able to hit scale, and not having any prior food experience. Like, I want to make stuff the way that, you know, my mom or my grandmother would make it.
Sure.
And it's kind of crazy, but I feel like we just take a lot of extra steps that most people really won't do to ensure that the product, the quality is there.
So let's start from the beginning,
Yep.
right? Because the food is one part, the name is probably another part,
Yep.
and how you got from wherever you came from to like, I want to say like a cult following pop-up to now a store. So tell me, how did Dom become this amazing pizza maker?
I guess it's a relatively long story at this point, but you know, the pandemic hit and everybody got bit by the sourdough bug. I started making
It's so
pizza.
true, yeah.
Yeah, and I had started making pizza instead, and I was probably like a year late. Like, it wasn't until a year later where I was like, I want to make sourdough bread, and my wife was like, you know, people went like crazy making sourdough, and
You couldn't even get like yeast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had started making pizza. I wanted to feel like I could make a pizza that you would get at a pizzeria at home. I was like, there's got to be a way to do it. But then, you know, I learned things like...
Have you ever made a pizza like before, or you were just like, a sourdough pizza sounds good to me?
Yeah, that's how the sourdough pizza thing kind of started, right?
Okay.
So I was making pizza at home for about a year, trying to like get good at it. And I knew absolutely nothing about anything. I mean, they were the shape of like the United States of America. Like, it wasn't round at all. Like, fermentation wasn't there. Their crusts were coming out white. Like, it was just bad. And then I made a loaf of sourdough bread because it was like a year later, and I was like, I want to do that. And I thought that was kind of cool. And I was like, there's so much more flavor in this than like what you get in like other pizza. And I was like, it's bread, right? Like, that's essentially what the foundation of pizza is. How do I make it better? And then I just was like, I'm going to try and make a sourdough pizza. And then I just kept at it. And then I started growing to really like making pizza. Like, every weekend, like, I mean, it was like a Tuesday night and I'm like making pizza sauce for like 20 people. And it made no sense. Like, the fridge in the kitchen was taken up by like all this pizza stuff. We lived in a smaller apartment. Like, I had bins of flour like in a hallway. Like, it just made no sense. And as time went on, I don't know, the work that I was doing. So I was in talent acquisition. I worked with advertising agencies and tech companies. And I was good at it, but I don't think I ever really had passion in it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I just started really enjoying making pizza, and then I got laid off. It was about 2 weeks before my daughter was born, and
Wow.
I just decided I never really wanted that feeling ever again.
Yeah.
And I had found a contract job after that lasted like 8 or 9 months. Um, I had gotten a nice severance package, but in that whole contract gig, I was just thinking to myself, like, I want to make pizza. Um, I was scared though, because you talk to a lot of pizzeria owners and restaurant owners in general, and they all advise you not to take the step. Like, you're crazy. It's so much work. I'm stubborn, so I didn't really believe them.
Yeah.
You could fast forward now and looking back, like it's a ton of work.
Probably right. Yeah.
But I just kind of started thinking to myself, like, okay, so how do I make enough money to support my family and
Sure.
make pizza? And I'd been following a lot of places like from LA, and they were doing pop-ups, and I just kind of like saw what they were doing. And you had all the backyard ovens came out, so your Gosney ovens, your Uni ovens,
Yeah.
and
Everyone's a pizza maker.
yeah, people were buying them left and right. So I hopped on that bandwagon.
Is that what you used?
Not at the pop-ups. So like that was the first oven I ever bought was a Gosney Rock Box.
Okay.
I felt like they were too small to like actually produce volume. So I went out and there's a company, it's Fontana Forni, and I bought one of their ovens. It's about like the deck of it's like 32 inches by 32 inches.
Yeah.
So when you make 12-inch pies, you could do like 3 at a time instead of 1.
Right.
And that's how we started. I took money from the severance that I had received. I bought the pizza oven. I bought a trailer, and
off you went.
Yeah, and I kind of had like this thought, like I was in the contract role, and I was like, this might only last me another month or two. Like, I need a truck so I could pull a trailer. So like I went out and like I had a car. I had an Audi S3, and I traded it in for a pickup truck. And I'm glad that I did that, because like 3 weeks later, I got the news that like the contract role was going to end. So
Oh my God.
yeah, it all kind of worked out. I have no idea how, but I think sometimes you kind of create some of it in your head. And
what did they say? You manifest it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your first pop-up? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was June 17th, 2023. So
You've only been doing this a little bit over a year?
yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So where was the first pop-up?
It was at Autodidact.
Yes, my boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Morris Plains.
Autodidact is a brewery, for people who don't know that. They're amazing. I did a great episode with Ron, which was great. Yeah.
And I would actually say that brewery opening was like kind of my light bulb moment, where I was like, I'm going to do it. And they graciously allowed me to cook pizza in their parking lot, and pretty quickly. I mean, never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would be in a space within like a year and 3 months.
It's really
I'm bad at math,
incredible.
so,
Even worse than bad. So yeah. In a very short time you did it.
Yeah.
So do you remember the first pop-up and how that went? Like the feeling you had, and just, were there a lot of, anyone who sits at a brewery, when a food truck or a pop-up like you have comes out, that's the best thing ever.
Yeah. No, it was like an incredible high. Like for the first time, like it was a big test. Like, you make pizza for friends and family, and
they're
I feel
like, this is great, Dom.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's so good. And you're
Yeah.
like, well, is it really good, or are they just being nice,
Yeah.
right? And then I think that was the first time that like I'd actually sold it, and people were like, this is incredible. And I was like, maybe we're onto something.
It must have been very cool to have someone buy your pizza, right? I mean, that's a good feeling. You're like this, you know what I mean? Just that exchange alone probably makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I grew up in a big Italian family, and I just feel like, it's like the Italian grandmother, where like they just want to see people eat and enjoy it.
Yes.
Like, for whatever reason, that like it gives me so much like energy. Like I love that feeling. So
Were you able to look around and see people saying this is so good? Because to me, your pizza is so special, which we'll get into. I keep saying that, but we will get into that. So you go from Autodidact, and then does word start spreading? Is that what happens?
I would like, it was kind of slow rolling the first one. I mean, we had friends and family show up to support us and things like that. We did pretty well. I think I made like 100 pizzas that day.
Wow.
And then we went back, maybe it was like 2 or 3 weeks later, and we didn't do as much. And I'm like, is this sustainable? Like, what was I thinking? You have all those moments. But then there was we had started reaching out to like influencers and stuff to try and get them to try it, because I know nothing about social media. That's all my wife and my sister-in-law, Catherine. They've done a great job.
An
But
amazing job.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we started reaching out to influencers to have them come and try the product. And I think that's really how things started to spread.
Yeah.
And, I'm
I think I
very,
first saw it from Autodidact and also New Jersey Hipsterbia.
yeah.
The girls there, they love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, we did like a dinner series with Autodidact through NJ Hipsterbia. And that was like, when we worked with them, that was kind of the first time. I think we jumped from like 1,400 followers up to like, close to 3,000 or so. And at the
Yeah.
time, like, that was a big jump, right? We were like, oh my God, this is great.
Yeah.
So we did that dinner series and it was pretty successful. And then they did another post for us once, and then it, another skyrocket. We ended up on Elvis Duran show. I don't know how.
I saw that. That was
Yeah.
incredible too. Yeah.
That's a funny story too. And then they started calling us back. So like we've been there twice, and like I don't
He
know.
loves,
just-
he lives out here. So
Yeah.
he goes to Nero's in Livingston. I mean, it's great. And what a great exposure for you too.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's like such a nice guy. It's like, and you meet these people and like they're just so nice to you. And,
Oh, yeah.
Like I never expected any of it.
Well, and people, when they see, I mean, me personally, when I see someone like you who's gambling and, and saying, you have a young family, you're a young guy, and you're saying, this is what I want to do. And it's a brave step to throw everything, like caution to the wind, and say, I'm going to try this. And then look at you today. Like, you want to support that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way local business thrives. You want your, people around you to say, he's making great food and he's a nice guy, and you've like put everything into it. All these restaurant owners put their entire life being like, it's time away from your family, it's money, it's all of it, So it's amazing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've put everything that I have into this place. Like, we're trying to sell our house to like just try and ease some of the pressure to make this successful. Like, I have no other choice at this point but for this to work.
It will.
I have to figure it out,
So you go from the pop-ups, right? So now you're building up your brand, and I see, where I tried you first was at Twin Elephant Brewery.
Yep.
And the model that you had for the pop-up, which was brilliant, is that you had to pre-order all the pizzas, right?
Yeah.
So you learned that over time to do that part?
Yeah. So when we had started the pop-ups, we were doing, like round pies. And
Those are not sourdough, though, are they?
no, yeah, everything that we do here is sourdough.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, from the start, everything's been sourdough. But for me, the round pies were tough, just because you're dealing with nature, and with sourdough in general, like, you have to be very aware of ambient temperature within the room, the temperature of the flour, the temperature of the water. All of those things are very important in the fermentation process.
Yeah.
So when, it's 75 degrees one day and then it's 50 degrees, 2 weeks later, you have an issue where the dough just doesn't want to proof. And
Okay.
like, even inside, if I leave my dough out and it's like the ambient temperature is 80 degrees,
Yeah.
the dough will ferment more than twice as fast as it would if the room was 70 degrees. So like little minor changes in temperature make such a big difference.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult to manage that outside in the elements. Like, yes, I have a fridge, but it was like the Matrix. Like, you just have like numbers. Like,
Yes.
yeah. And then I'd been making the Detroit pizzas, and everybody was going crazy over them. And we figured out that we could do 8 pizzas at a time.
Yeah.
If we did the Detroits in the oven instead of 3 pies. You don't have to worry about like ripping holes through the middle of the dough, because
Right.
they're cooked in a pan.
Yes.
Everything's par baked also for the Detroits. So like I can bake those off in the morning and then pack them up and then bring them on site. So I totally alleviate any issues with fermentation process, like
that's smart.
outside. And we were just able to roll out. We figured it out. It was 8 pizzas every 20 minutes between cooking, getting them out of the pan, and dressed up.
So let's
and
talk
in
about
boxes.
the Detroit style pizzas for a second.
Yep.
And for people who don't know about your pop-up, when he's saying it's the elements and it's outside, you don't have a pizza truck. You set up a tent.
Yeah.
And you put your pizza oven on a stand, basically. Yeah. And so you're always outside. You're not when you have a pizza truck, it's more control because you're controlling the temperature in the truck.
You also have like infrastructure over your head.
Yes. So, this is real elements. Yeah. Really brave in it.
I didn't have a ton of money when I started, and I would have, even looking back, like if I had invested in like a more built out trailer or a food truck, there's a version of this where I'd probably still be doing that right now.
Yeah.
But, I had only so much money, and I was like, how do I do it? And obviously it was the hardest.
It's a tent. I mean, you have one of those pop-up tents that right?
It's an enclosed trailer.
I
pull up, I unload the trailer, I take a tent out, I take the oven out, there's propane tanks, a garbage can, tables, we set everything up, and it takes, we got it down to like 30 minutes, but in the beginning it took us like an hour and a half to get set up.
And was there ever like rain and like
all
wind and all of that? Yeah.
Yeah, and my tent isn't like actually waterproof because it's custom printed and like it's fabric. So, if it's raining, like a drizzle you get away with, but if there's a rainstorm, like it just comes right through. So,
oh my God.
Yeah. And I think having that setup kind of pushed everything, and I'm glad I did it that way because we were able to scale way quicker than I ever thought imaginable.
Yeah.
And if I had invested the money in a truck or a trailer, they're like $80,000.
Yeah.
Like I would have had to make it work. But we very quickly I started in my house. We very quickly outgrew, production there. So I had like 4 fridges in my garage.
Oh my God.
Point. Like it was
amazing.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So the style pizza, and the one that I keep saying that I love and we'll get to, let's get to it. So It's a Detroit style pizza. So a lot of people know that as just a square, like what, deep dish?
Yeah.
Ish?
I would say it's similar to Sicilian, right? But the pan that you're cooking it in is the walls of it are a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And then the cheese gets spread all the way to the edges, which kind of creates what they call a frico, which is burnt cheese edges.
It's okay. Let's discuss that. So yesterday when I was here waiting for my pies, which were incredible, I was watching them prepare. So what it is the dish, the pan.
Yep.
They put in cheese, shredded cheese, mozzarella. Is that what it is? And then the dough gets poured on top. Is that how I saw it?
No. So we the dough gets balled and we put it into the pan, and then it has to proof in the pan. It takes about 6 hours.
Okay.
And then from there, you like with a focaccia, you kind of have to like dimple it out to get it to stretch to the edges.
Yeah.
And then for the par bakes, I started sprinkling cheese around the edges.
So that's what I saw. And then what was in the middle on top? It looked like a liquid.
No,
maybe
that was probably the dough.
That's the dough.
Because it's a very high hydration, so it doesn't. It's like we hired a pizza guy, and he's like, "This is not dough, this is soup," and I was like, "No, this is." Like,
that's what it looked like yesterday, but I didn't see lower down in the pan. I'm just watching it through the glass, but and the cheese is really what makes the crunch around the crust. I mean, that's really incredible. And the different styles you have, I mean, you offered probably a limited version at the pop-ups, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you have is plain, right?
Like at the store today?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do plain, we do the crowd pleasers, the pepperoni hot honey with the fresh ricotta cheese on it.
It's like there's dollops on every slice.
Yeah, I make sure
because it cuts into 6 slices? So 6 squares.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're not the biggest pizzas in the world. They're 8x10. But
I know.
we cut them into 6.
You could do it. I mean, one person could eat it. She has maybe just eaten every slice in her little box. I'm just saying. The cacio e pepe.
Yeah, but they're also. I feel like they look small. Like people are always like, "That's it," like and I'm like,
Yeah, Dom.
it
They look
feeds more,
small. They do
but-
look small.
Yeah, but they I feel like they'll
They're
feed
dense.
2 people,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't think people have ever left hungry from eating them.
I
So,
think, when you're looking at a regular pie that's a triangle and then you look at the square pie, you're like, oh, that looks small. But there's a lot in that square, in one square, there's a lot going on.
yeah.
Because it is focaccia bread, so it's got all the holes. It's pretty thick. It has the cheese crust,
Yep.
and then it has whatever the topping is, whatever you're eating. So there's a lot going on. It's just so good. It's so good because you get, especially if you like the crunchy of the cheese and the crispiness of the cheese. I mean, you can't go wrong. I'm not a meat eater, so I didn't do the pepperoni, but that's a huge crowd pleaser in my house. The cacio e pepe, I tell everybody, it's just phenomenal. So what's in the cacio e pepe?
So we like sprinkle mozzarella around the edges of the pan. It's like mascarpone cheese as like the sauce base, and then it's like a ridiculous amount of pecorino romano and grana padano, and then some black pepper.
It's so good.
It's like super
Yeah.
simple, and like I don't know. I think
It's
that's
cheese
one of the,
bread.
and that's one of those things
Yeah.
about food in general. Like I feel like sometimes the best things are like the simplest. and,
Yes.
like there's really not much to it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. So do you have sausage
Yeah, which I make here.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah.
and meatball
Yep.
and a white pizza that you can get
Yeah.
with red sauce or white sauce?
No,
Well,
that's
was that
the
the
mushroom.
mushroom?
Yeah. So we do. There's a pepperoni hot honey. I do a spicy vodka. We were doing those on squares, but they
Yeah.
just take forever to cook. Like it's very difficult to develop the cheese edge because
Oh,
the sauce
interesting.
has a lot of fat in it, and then there's also a lot of fat in the cheese.
Yeah.
So it just kind of like not watery, but like it's tough to set the edges of
Yeah.
the cheese with the vodka. So we stopped doing that. We only do that in a round pie. We have mushrooms, which are I do a blend of organic mushrooms. They're not standard like baby Bella mushrooms that
No,
you get
it's
at the grocery
delicious.
store. They're very expensive.
Yeah.
But we do a blend of 3 different mushrooms, or if the guy that I get them from has something seasonal or special, we'll throw those in there. We have the sausage pie. So you can get just sausage, or my preference is with red onion and chili oil with
Ooh,
a little
yum.
spice. There's a plain standard white pie, which is cheese, garlic, ricotta cheese. I think that's it. Olive oil.
Yeah.
So it's pretty basic, simple things.
I had
now.
the mushroom and the cacio e pepe on during your soft opening. It was delicious. So so every day, I mean, well, hold on, let's go back for a second. So what made you go from the pop-up to say, I want to do a shop? I don't want to be doing the pop-ups anymore? Is that?
Yeah, so things had been going well, and we did our first pop-up at Sunday Motor Co. in Madison.
Yeah.
And there was just something about that night where like you could see people coming in, and like they were able to sit inside of like the coffee shop, and like it just kind of felt like a vibe. Like it's where
Yeah.
you wanted to be on a Friday night. And I just kind of like my wife and I looked at each other and we were like, I think we're bigger than parking lots. And
Yes, you are.
from there we just kind of like we started the relationship with them, and that was going well. We were starting to expand at that point a little bit, and that's when I realized that I didn't have enough space in my home to really produce any more than I was currently doing.
Yeah.
So I'd outgrown what we started, and again, that happened way quicker than I ever thought it would have.
Right.
And then when we ended up on the Elvis Duran show, that's kind of when things like just really took off.
Sure.
So
You need to
Yeah.
get him here now.
we'll
Yeah,
see
you're
what
like,
happens.
We'll see. Yeah. Okay, so now it's November 4th. You had your grand opening, which is the bravest thing. I told your wife, don't do it. You guys did it. You opened on the Super Bowl of pizza shops, which was on Halloween.
Yeah.
That is the bravest, boldest move ever.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we got our teeth kicked in that night. So,
It'll only go smoother from there, by the way. Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah.
Because that was tough. But yeah, here we are.
So here we are.
Yeah.
Right? So, and it took a while to get the restaurant open, right? I mean, when did you sign the lease?
So we took over July 1st.
Okay.
Part of the reason we opened on Halloween was the renovation. I did everything in here myself. So I did the
Wow.
floor, I painted.
You're very talented. Just for people who want a visual, it looks amazing. It's clean. It's bright. There's booths so you can order your food, get your food, and then sit down at a booth. I mean, it's really amazing.
Yeah. And I did everything myself. We uncovered a lot of problems that existed in the space that had to be fixed that I wasn't accounting for.
Of course.
There was a lot of deferred maintenance with equipment and things like that we had to get sorted out.
Yeah.
So now, like, we have a party room in the back, but it's just a giant storage closet right now because I haven't had time to finish it off.
Sure.
And, I just kind of started feeling the financial pressure. Like, we got to start getting, money coming in. And
Yeah.
now I'm in the situation where we have to finish the construction, but like I also have pizza to sell. So
Yeah.
it never ends. But
So you're doing what I think is smart is a slow roll sort of
Yep.
into opening. You're only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Is that correct?
yeah, for the next few weeks. And,
Yeah.
Hours will expand as time goes on.
Yeah.
We will definitely be open for lunch during the week. And I hope to not be selling out of pizza in 2 hours. That's like, I guess it's fun at first, but like it's not a sustainable model. Like
No.
people call, they want pizza, and like they don't want to hear that you don't have any left because you're a pizzeria and your only job is to provide pizza to the world. So you got to have it, right?
Yeah.
And-
So, I mean, I'll tell you, Livingston, I posted the video that I did yesterday. It was yesterday. And now with this podcast, people are going to want to come try your pizza.
Yeah.
So we're just making this announcement. Be understanding, be patient. This is local, which we always want to eat local. And this is their first time doing it. But I think your slow roll is going to equate into perfection and a huge success. I mean, it definitely is. I mean, your product is amazing and you guys are the nicest. So that to
Thank
me, is, a recipe, no pun intended,
Yeah.
for success. Yeah.
I certainly hope so. But yeah, I think, and like the slow roll, I think is also good because it creates a little bit of hype, right? Like,
Sure.
And hopefully that'll help us as we, expand our hours and we have more to provide. So
As I was saying before we started the interview, Bagels by Jarrett. So Jarrett, shout out to you. He did the same thing, and now now he's cruising.
yeah,
And I want to give him a shout out because when I came here on your soft opening and I walked through the door, and I loved this, is there was Jarrett Seltzer standing behind
yeah,
your counter and helping you with the orders and getting your orders out. And that to me is like, I love seeing when restaurant people work together and help each other and lift each other up. That to me is like the best.
yeah. No, he's an incredible human. Like he sought me out and like wanted to help me.
Yeah.
Like there are very few people that do that. So, to have him come in here and help us so that like we don't just fall flat on our face the first night was,
Yeah.
It meant the world. So,
Yeah. Well, and he remembers when he was there too.
Yeah.
He started out really doing
Yeah.
bagels the same way you did pizza, which is
Yeah.
amazing. So if there's anyone who understands, it's him. So it's good for you to look where he is now, and you know what I mean? So you can say, I can see how this is going to get a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, like, I feel like every day it's gotten smoother and smoother.
Yeah.
Now
Especially because today's Monday and it's closed. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
nice
what's
to
the
take a break.
goal? Is the goal just to keep this menu? Is the goal to open up every day? What's the goal for you?
Yeah. So short term is definitely, within the next month to have more, be open more, right?
Yeah.
Like we need to expand our hours. It can't just be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And deliveries on all the apps and stuff like that.
I think deliveries might take a little longer and online ordering just because I feel like as soon as we turn that on, we'll have no control over how many orders are coming in.
Yeah.
And that's the other piece of it too, is just like fine tuning the POS system to ensure that everything's like firing within the kitchen at like the same time, right? So if
Yeah.
you're getting, and this is basic restaurant stuff that, when you haven't done it before, it's like trying to crack Da Vinci's code.
Yeah.
Like it's, like
And you're
it's-
learning on the fly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, when the cash register isn't talking to the screens that the pizza maker is using and not printing the right receipts, like you get 5 orders and it feels like, the weight of the world is on your shoulders to
Sure.
get those right because it's just bad communication across like the entire function. Like it's,
And you probably don't even know yet, like how much, like, in terms of ingredients and like what you need every day to
Yeah.
stock up on, and you need to get a pulse on that part of it too.
Yeah, like last week, granted, we were only open 2 days for the soft open.
Yeah.
And I bought more food than I thought I needed. So for this past week, I was like, I'll just double it up. We'll be good. And then like I ran out of cheese on Saturday. Like my wife is going down to our distributor at
Oh
like
my
8 o'clock
God.
in the morning on Saturday to get us more cheese. And then, you know, Saturday night, I realized like, oh my God, I only have one bag of pepperoni left. And the pepperoni that I use is very specific. So I had to go out yesterday, drive an hour to go get
Oh my
a case
God.
of it. And then I'm back and, we're supposed to open at noon. And like, here it is, it's 11 o'clock and I've got vodka sauce. I got to get the meatballs and the sauce and like get those going for an hour. I have
Yeah.
to make the Caesar dressing for the night. And like, I did all of that within an hour and then the doors are open and like, here we are making pizza. And, I just need some of that to like settle down and I have to do a better job at delegating and, making sure that, I'm free to help everyone else out.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the hardest part too, is like, you don't want to give away like all the recipes and like, take some of that control away because like you feel like that's some of the
It's
magic
your baby.
of it.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I can't do everything. So trying to find that balance of like, what are the things that I could have other people do and like,
And trusting your staff.
Yeah.
They're new at this too. So
Yeah.
you want these guys to be here for a long time so they're not leaving and,
Yeah.
it's all of it.
And then, just managing people, right? Like
Yeah.
the guys here have been working together for a week. Like
Yes.
it takes time. Like you got to learn different things about people and like, what sets one off or like, how do we keep the peace? And
Yeah.
it's
A
it's
lot of
dance.
elements people don't realize. That's why it's a very brave step. But I mean, it'll be interesting in a week from now, the difference, and then in a month from now, and then in 6 months from now. I mean, it's going to be completely different,
Yeah. Different, I hope, in a more efficient and good.
better and
Yeah,
happier
yeah.
way. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. So, are you looking to keep the menu the same, or are you like over time? Do you have in your head?
It'll expand
Yeah.
as time goes on.
Yeah.
And a lot
Outside
that,
of pizzas, or you think you'll stay with just pizzas?
mainly a pizza focus. Like
Yeah.
that's what we do. It's at the core.
Yes.
But as far as salads go, like I want to have a couple of options instead of just a Caesar. Like we do an Italian chopped, but it's a whole other set of ingredients that have to get prepped.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of do like a special for like a seasonal thing where we take stuff that's either local or whatever, and we're putting that together and creating something great. So we'll definitely have seasonal specials, I think, across everything that we do.
Yeah.
I'd love to have another app or two to give people a choice.
Yep.
And there's a ton of things that I know that I can make that I think would do well. It's just a matter of
Having the
time
time
and
to-
figuring
yeah.
it all. I need a prep cook probably. I can't be chopping onions and
Yeah. I
like,
guess this is,
it's-
if anyone's looking for a job as a prep cook here,
Reach
you know where
out.
to come. You
Come
know where
on
to come.
over.
Yeah, come
Yeah.
on over to Bucky's.
Yeah.
So why the name Bucky's?
So it's my wife's grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think food in general for me has always been about family. The meatballs are my grandmother's recipe, and I just feel like I've always had a strong connection to food because of that. And my wife's grandfather owned a fish store. His family had opened it in 1914. It was in Brooklyn.
Wow.
And they closed in 1995. But the way that their family like talks about the business and like there's just all these memories that it created, I kind of wanted a little bit of that for myself.
Yeah.
So we chose his name as like
That's
an
awesome.
honor, and I actually think it's a great name. It's a little bit offbeat, so like people remember it, and it kind of has like a ring. So and it's like I don't know, I guess it just worked.
It does work
Yeah.
because it's, pizza places are usually like an Italian, like, yeah.
Like what was I gonna
yeah.
do? Name it Dominic's? There's already like
I
7 or 8
know.
of them in the area.
No,
so,
Bucky's stands out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it goes along with like your pizza's not the average pizza. It's
Yeah.
different, and the name, I think it's amazing. And your slogan, what's your slogan?
Real good pizza.
Yeah, because it is real good pizza.
Yeah, that I don't know. It was like 1:00 in the morning before we started our pop-ups, and I was like, "What do I want the Instagram thing to say?" And I was like, "I don't know, like just put real good pizza." And
Again, simple.
yeah,
It's simple. You don't
but it's also a
overthink
little
it. Yeah.
offbeat because like real good isn't. I
grammatically correct.
I'm not an English major, but it's not. you
Yeah.
know?
That's okay. We'll let that. 'Cause you know what? Because the pizza is really good pizza.
Well, and it's like a play
Yeah.
on the ingredients, right? Like everything that we use here is real. Maybe except for pepperoni that might have some nitrates and stuff in it that, people might not like. But beyond that, everything has like a clean label. Like I don't use crap in anything. Sorry for
Yeah.
my
No,
French.
that's
but, like,
fine. Yes.
yeah.
I was going to say, and sourdough for people, Jess was telling me this yesterday. I didn't realize that sourdough is for people who are gluten intolerant, not gluten allergic. Gluten intolerant, sourdough is usually easier on the digestive system.
I'm not a scientist, so I don't claim any of it. But
Yeah.
in theory, sourdough is technically easier to digest
Yeah.
because, especially with our process, with a long fermentation process, you start to break down the gluten
Yeah.
before it's being consumed. So I know for me, like when I eat pizza elsewhere, like if I have 3 slices, I usually feel it for a good hour or 2 after I eat it.
Yeah.
I feel like with our pizza, I could eat it all day long.
You
and
can.
just like not like
Trust
you're
me,
good.
you can. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. So, all right. So 1 year from now, what's your hope?
I have no idea. To obviously grow and expand. I want to get a handle on being able to run this like a well-oiled machine. Continue to grow our brand and just kind of see where that takes us. I think, sky's the limit. Like if you can dream it, you can do it. Sorry, I get a little, emotional kind of thinking back of where we've come in a year.
Sure.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's a lot, Dom. It's a lot. But people believe in you, right? You wouldn't be sitting here in your booth in your self-constructed shop, right? With your wife's grandfather's name on it, with a product to stand behind it if people didn't believe in you.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like, it's incredible.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I can't wait in a year from now to see where you are. I can't wait in 5 years from now. I mean, you're here. You're going to be here forever.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah.
Part of me feels like I don't deserve like any of it, but
You do. We
It's
all
been-
deserve it. You deserve it. You work hard. You have a family. You're a good person. You deserve it. Like everybody else, right? People are going to come.
I hope.
They will. If you're listening, trust me. I promise you, this is like, it's special here. I think so. That's why I'm sitting here. I wouldn't be doing this. I don't get paid for this. It's my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
my Monday. I'm just kidding. Dom, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I wish you the most success. I know you can do it. You have a whole community here in Chatham, in Livingston, and all the other towns that know you can do it. You have a huge following. You have a very supportive wife who's very protective of you.
I don't deserve that either.
No,
Like,
yes, you do.
I just like a shout out to her. Like what she does is insane.
Yes.
Like she has a full-time job. Like she goes to the city 2 to 4
Does she
days
really?
a week. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, she's picking up all the slack for taking care of our daughter. Like it's incredible.
And she was here yesterday working like a
Yeah,
boss.
she's
I'm
been
telling
here
you,
every day that we've been open.
Yes.
And like
But that's because she believes in you too.
yeah, but she's stronger than I am.
Yeah, well, that's women. I'm just kidding.
No, you're probably right.
No. But that's, she believes, I mean, listen, your partner, that's what she is. She's your partner. And if she didn't believe in this and the product and you, this probably wouldn't happen.
Nope.
So here we are.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
Smile. Be happy about it. This is it, man. We
Yeah.
got it. Bucky's
we'll
for
be
life.
there.
Look, there's people who keep looking in the door
It's all day long.
all day long. It's Monday,
Yeah.
they're closed, and I've seen 3 people look in your door. You
Yeah.
can't see because you're facing the other way, but that's how.
As soon as we
Yeah.
took the paper off the door, like
Yes.
yeah. The phone
So-
rings off the hook. Like we're not even open. It's just
No, yeah, I was
constantly
here
ringing.
yesterday when you guys opened, and it was non-stop ringing.
Yeah.
So you need maybe a phone system.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
when we started, I was only going to do online ordering.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't need a big phone system with like 10 different lines, but we're going to have to change that.
The best is when I asked someone what the phone number was. None of you guys knew what it was.
No.
Okay. So for people who want to order Bucky's and follow Bucky's, I would say go to your Instagram and all the links are there, right? Is that the best way to say it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we will have
It's Bucky's New Jersey. What is it?
Bucky's NJ Pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Instagram.
Yeah.
And we'll have the phone number there for people to call us.
And it's on Main Street. What is it? What's the number? 465 Main Street in Chatham.
Yes. We're in the same parking lot as the CVS.
CVS.
So
Yep.
everybody kind of knows that as a landmark.
Yeah. So for everyone listening, whether you're local or not, I'm telling you, you want to try this pizza. That's it.
Thank
Bucky's. Real good pizza. And Dom, the nicest guy.
you. I don't know.
I do. Thank you so much for sitting with me and talking to me.
Thank you for coming
Oh.
and showing your support and being willing to do this.
I do anything for food. Cacio e Pepe pizza, folks. That's it. I'm telling you. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
If you are hearing this message, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I'm truly grateful for you and this opportunity. The purpose of the Behind the Counter podcast is to bring food, people, and community together. I hope you'll return for more episodes and explore with me. I want to personally thank Fran Linnell of Design 68 for my amazing Behind the Counter podcast logo, and Travis Lohnberg for my awesome Behind the Counter music, and all the guests that take their time to sit and talk with me. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you hear your podcasts. If you'd like to support the Behind the Counter podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends and family, and you can follow me on Instagram at Heidi Blum. If you have any feedback or stories that you want to share, you can email me at foodsarbtc@gmail.com.